So today, that's why we are here together to have basic knowledge of the Android apps development. And may I know how many, like these days, many platforms are available for app development. Many devices are people are using for apps and gaming, right? So these are like Android, iOS, and hybrid apps. These apps are available. Now, before we start learning, so we must need to know like Android apps and iOS apps both can be developed in two different technologies. One is native and the other one is hybrid or cross platform. Now, what is native actually? The native technologies are used to build apps specifically for one platform only. Like if we are developing Android native apps, a client asks us to develop a native app for me. I want native apps for Android and iOS. That means we have to develop the iOS one and the Android app separately for both the platforms. For those, the platform that is available, the framework that supports the native apps development for Android is Android Studio, that you must know. And for iOS, there is another tool, Xcode. And the another word which I told is hybrid or cross-platform apps. Now, cross-platform means the framework or the technology which allows us to develop apps for Android and iOS together, and they will be supported for both the platforms rather than supporting only one platform. Now, as we are here for the learning of native Android apps development. So before learning the technical part, we must know the theoretical part of the Android apps, which is important. Like you must have the basic knowledge of core Java and how to do the setup of core Java in our system, and Android Studio. Like the Android Studio is a framework which supports to build the Android apps using the language Java. So for this, first we need to install Java in our system, and then we need to do all the setups for core Java, which you guys must have know. If you don't know, I will tell you. And after that, we need to install Android Studio and do the setup for that. Once the setup is done, after that we can start developing the apps. But before doing this setup and each and everything, we must know few basic things of Android architecture, Android applications. First, we must know like what is Android and what is the Android architecture. Here I'm sharing a screen with you guys. Here you can see the basic architecture of Android apps. So here are 5 things which you can see. These are the Android application or Android whole framework is divided into 5 sessions and 4 layers, right? So first one is, as you can see, applications, then application framework, libraries, Android runtime, and Linux kernel. The Linux kernel, which you can see at the bottom, this is the main part, right? As it contains, you can see display driver, camera drivers. The Linux kernel actually contains all the drivers which are important for building an application and which supports the all the libraries those are available, or the inbuilt tools. It provides us inbuilt tools. Like here we need to write few code, and many of the tools and libraries are available using which we can write the codes, right? Next one, like you can see the libraries. Android provides us various libraries for building, like app, content, databases, OpenGL, text, view, widget, WebKit. All these things we can come to know when we will go into the depth of the Android application development. Step by step, we will learn how these libraries help us, what these libraries actually provide us, and what are the tools they support. Now, the most important thing is Android runtime. Once the application is developed, we have to run that application. But how that application runs? So anyone can tell me, like, as you know the basics of core Java, how application or the code that we develop in core Java, what supports to run? Dinesh, as you said, you know the basics of Java. So can you please tell me, like, how we run an application that we develop in core Java? Like, what is the component key section which provides us or provides supports us to run a Java application? I'm not asking for the platform. There are many platforms available for running those, like Eclipse you said, but I'm asking for the basic thing, like which machine supports the running or compiling of Java program. Once our program is complete and we have to run that program, right, and it will be executed successfully only if there is no issue, no error, no bug, right? For that, what happens in Java actually? The compiler compiles it, right? For that, we write the compile code, compile, and our program name for that, for compiling that. And once it is executed and compiled completely, it is safe. So after that, we run that. And which machine is that? That is Java virtual machine. Remember, which use like Java bytecodes, and it runs the applications, the program. As we know, like Java source code is compiled by the Java compiler into .class files. Then the DX, the Dexer tool part that executes, the Dex files are created, right? So I was asking about that. Like the Java virtual machine is available for compilation and running the program successfully. So same way, for every platform, every language, or every framework, there must be one component available for running the program, rather it is Android native, iOS native, or any hybrid we are developing the app. We need something which will execute our or supports the running of the program. So in Android runtime, the main thing is which runs the layer, which runs the or execute our application is Delvic virtual machine. For core Java, it's Java virtual machine, right? And for Android, it's Delvic virtual machine. So this Delvic virtual machine, you must have the knowledge of this before you develop any program, because the Delvic virtual machine makes use of Linux core features. So now you must know, like Android, first you must know, like Android is a open source code, open source available. What is open source? What does open source means? Can anybody tell me? Hello?
Yes, it's made it original source code freely available and maybe resistible, and we can modify.
What is open source?
It's just like software, like it's
Okay.
original code that is freely available.
Yeah, right, which is freely available. So means the all the libraries and the tools for development of app, which is freely available, we use the word open source for it, right? And the Android is open source and it is built in Linux kernel. right? The Linux language is used to develop this whole Android Studio tool. And like for Java compilation, we use Java Virtual Machine. So Linux provides us Dalvik Virtual Machine for it. So it what it does, as we are using core Java, the basic language for Android Studio. So here also the compiler Dalvik Virtual Machine compiles the whole code, and once it is successfully compiled, then the application runs successfully. It enters and opens on our Android Studio, Android device. Android Runtime also provides a set of core libraries which enable like various application developers to write the applications using Java programs. After that, here comes application framework. Now, the application framework means how many what are the parts or the frameworks that Android Studio provides us. So any developer need to know these frameworks before starting it. So there are like activity manager, content providers, resource manager, notifications manager, view system. Now what are these? First is the thing you can see, activity manager. So don't focus on the word manager here. First you need to know what is actually activity. Activity is like on your Android phone, you must be using many apps. Like if we see WhatsApp, right? So whenever we tap over the WhatsApp icon on our home screen, a screen opens up, right? The home screen opens up. That home screen is actually called as an activity, where we perform all the functions. For developing an application, there are many activities created, and those are interrelated with each other. Like when we tap over the WhatsApp home icon, right, logo, at that time the home screen opens up. That is the home activity, and there we can see the listing of all the users who have messaged us. So when we tap over that, a new screen opens up. So here we are moving from one screen to another screen. These all screens are interrelated, and these separate screens are called activities. So now, for who is managing all these activities? For that, application framework provides us an activity manager who controls all the applications and the life cycle. Now, after that, it comes to content provider, which allows us to publish the applications and share the data. Content providers allows us to share the content that is in our activity. Like I said to you, I have given you the example of WhatsApp here. Now, first we are seeing the listing of all users who have messaged us, right? Now, all the user names, how many messages they have sent us, at what time they have sent the message. This is content, or this is data. What is data actually? May I know what is data? This is the basic concept, basic term
Yeah,
which is
data.
used when we start learning computers. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Data is something that can be measured, collected, analyzed, that we can use for visualization. Like it just
Yeah,
can be.
we can say data is actually raw thing that we have,
Yeah,
raw
yeah, yeah.
information, and when we make a
Convert into
meaningful thing
information.
from the data that we have, that comes to information, right? So here content providers, it helps us to collect all the data and share that data or information from one screen to another screen to pass it to the application.
Yes, Manpreet.
Sorry, there is
Okay. No issue.
we were discussing the content provider, right? So as it allows applications to publish and share data with other applications. After that, it comes the resource manager, which allows us to amend the resources like as we know in Java also we have strings, color settings for our UI to give the best UI or present our UI, and there is like various layouts, interfaces, and many settings for which are related to the color, UI, notifications, and other things. So a resource manager provides us support for connecting all these things. After that, it comes to the notification manager. As we know, we get many notifications in applications like in WhatsApp. Whenever a friend messages us, we get a notification, instant notification we get, right? And there are other apps also where we get the notifications. So for managing all those notifications, how from one device to another device, we have to send a notification. So this process is managed by notifications manager. Now view system. As we know, whenever we open or tap over any logo, we see a UI. So there are many views, many icons. So those icons are called everything, but whatever is there, like rather it is a icon, any image, any button, or any layer, anything. All those things are called as views. So they have separate names in Android. So like for icon, we call that icon, image, that is image view, or if we are providing option like when we see like there is login screen or sign up screen. So there we have option to input text. So the view, the field which provides us the option to input text, that is called as edit text. And in front of that we see there is written like username. So ahead that we have the option to write the username. So the field which is where is written username, we can't edit that. So that screen, that view is called as label in Android. And then we have the option to click over the button, login button or sign up button. So these are called as buttons in Android. So similarly, there are many views which are available for developing an application. So we will learn about all those. But before going towards that, we must need to know one more thing, that is activity lifecycle. What is activity lifecycle actually? Like whenever we start building any application, we go through many phases there. Like when we tap over any icon, so it opens up a screen. So Android Studio provides us many methods. So in Java also, or any other language like C, C++, there we create classes and methods. So my next question is, what are methods?
Methods can be a statement, collection of statement, or yeah, we can use methods like for
Yeah, in Java we create methods. In C++ also we create. What is the
mm,
purpose of methods and what are methods actually? Methods or functions?
like we create methods within a class. So
Yeah,
it is by defined by name, then
yes,
we use parentheses. So
yes.
we can
We
like
can perform
use it.
anything. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, yes, tell.
Um, Actually, I have been working on Java and from
Yeah,
three
in
years.
Java there are methods. We can like simply we can say Java method or any method in a programming language is a collection of statements that we write, and they are grouped together to perform any operation. Like we need to perform an addition operation or any subtraction or multiplication or any other operation we need to perform. For that, and the usage of method is like if we want to perform like addition 100 times, 5 times, or more than one time in any program. So that for that we can write it separately in one method. We can group that all those statements in by one name, so that we can call them every time when we need it, rather than writing all those statements separately each and every time. Like we basically methods are created when we need to perform a very big application, like a very big method where there are like 5 to 6 lines of statements. Those are required to perform one operation. So if we need all those 5 lines, we have to write all those 5 lines for 5 times. Like we need to perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, like board mass. We know board mass, right? uh, the thing that for mathematics in the beginning we learn like multiplication, addition, subtraction. We need to perform these three operations, right? So rather than writing these three operations each and every time, we group them together in one method and we call them each and every time. So this is saving our time. So for that we need methods, right? So here in Android, there when we start with the activity lifecycle, so Android also provides us few inbuilt methods. So there we can also customize them, we can edit them, or we can use their inbuilt operations also. So here begins with whenever any activity starts. I'm going to share screen 1 minute. Whenever we start any application, so the onCreate method of Android is called. So can you see this, the activity launch, the diagram, the flow chart?
No,
Okay.
I can see application framework.
Activity launch, on create, on start.
No,
No? 1 minute. Let me do the setting.
now we can share.
Yes.
Actually, there I don't know. There's two multi's are listing here. So one is from in one from one we can see the screen, and one is from we can have the audio. That's okay. Like let's you can start.
Yeah. So now as you can see, activity launch, the blue icon, right? So whenever we tap over any activity, so at that time, a screen opens up that I already told you that that is the activity. So, but for opening that activity, Android provides us a inbuilt method that is onCreate, which is automatically called onCreate. You don't need to call that by writing any code, because already uh, the Android frameworks and the libraries that Android Studio and Linux provide us, so they have already written all those codes to call these activities and all these methods. So firstly, onCreate method is called. and we can edit this whenever we are creating any activity. So there we can see.
Manpreet, we can't hear you. We can see your screen.
Hello, now visible,
Yes.
audible.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you are
So
audible.
once the onCreate method is called, automatically calls the onStart method. And after that, the onResume method is called. The as the name is, they are describing their meaning by themselves that what they perform. OnCreate method creates the functions. Whatever we are writing, they create it, and after that, it enters the onStart method, and it starts the activity. Once the activity is started, it goes to the onResume method, and activity starts running, and the screen is launched, and we see the screen. Any home screen of any activity we see. And we know that how fast these functions and these methods are called that once we tap on any icon, the home screen is launched automatically in a second. So what is the speed of all these methods to call that is very fast. Once the activity is running, we are performing operations like we launch the home screen, we tap on any icon, or we are changing our profile, or we are sending messages, the notifications are going, we are tapping over the notifications and moving one activity to another activity. All these functions are performed under the on resume. And after that, the other functions that I said, like changing the profile or entering or sending any message to other person. These are the statements that we write under the methods or functions that we create by ourselves. These are the basic functions or methods that Android provides us. On create, on start, on resume, on pause, on stop, on destroy, on restart. All these are inbuilt in Android Studio. But the other functions to perform the other things we need to create our own methods and our own functions. That means we have to group the statements to perform these things. Like if we want to change the profile picture of my WhatsApp, so in that case, what we have to do, what we do actually, they provide us the option to open a camera or select the images from gallery. Now, when pop-up is shown to us, like choose from gallery or choose from camera. So how this pop-up opens up? For that also, we have to write few statements that is provided by the default libraries are provided by the Android to open the camera or open the gallery. And after that, we have to select the image or click any image. Once the image is clicked from camera, how we have to save that image, how we have to load that image to my profile picture, and how I have to save that profile picture to the server, to the main database. For all that, we have to write multiple statements, and those are grouped together and written under a method. And these activities we are performing after on resume by ourselves. Now, after that, like I got bored. I have sent all the messages, and now I came back to the home screen of my Android phone, where I can see other apps. So in that case, when we press the back button, so at that time, the on pause method is called because it is just pausing the activity. It is not destroying it completely. Because as you know, we can see the activities or the application those are running in background still unless we finish them completely or remove them from our Android phone memory, the running memory that is using, we can remove that, right? So here, technically, for that we use the word till here. When we remove any application using the cross button. So that is known as killing an application. So that it should not use the memory space, the running memory space. Otherwise, it will slow down the speed of other applications. So now when we press the back button, the on pause activity is called, and after that, if we are making it like we are removing it from memory, so in that case, the on stop method is called. This means the activity is no longer visible, and completely finishing it in the end, the on destroy method is called, and activity is shut down. And in that case, like see, if you are on setting screens and you go back, and in that case you will go back to the activity where you were before that. Or if you press the home button of your Android phone, you will come back to the all the application screen. So in that case, the activity is just pausing down. But after pausing it, if you are pressing your other home icon and vanishing it from the memory, in that case the on stop method is called, and after that on destroy is called. But in case you just pause the activity and after that you again press your the same application, then you will come back to the same setting screen rather than coming to the home screen, the first screen or splash screen. So that is in that case the on restart or on resume method is called again when the on stop method is not called yet. So in that case, if activity is started again, so on resume method is called again. In case you have finished the activity and starting it again, in that case, on restart method is called. So here is the whole life cycle, how an application, how all the methods and the functions are called to perform any activity. Any questions till now for the activity life cycle? Hello? Any queries till now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, please.
You have mentioned that the activity is finishing and
Yes,
destroyed by the system. Okay.
yes.
So it is like this is a method, and we every time like what it's like I didn't get this topic. This
No, no. The activity is finished when there are two ways to finish the activity by ourselves forcefully if we want to finish it. There is another method available to call that the
okay.
kill method is available. Programmatically, we need to write that line if we want to close that forcefully, right? The another way is by default it is finished. When we come back to home screen, home button, we press our Android home button, right?
Hmm.
And then see, for example, you open WhatsApp, then you open the Gmail, third application you open any game. Okay, three applications you open. You used WhatsApp, then pressed the home button. So in this case, the application is not killed. It is still running in the background. It is using the memory space. Then you open the Gmail. You send any
Okay.
email to anyone. And then you press the home button again. You came back to home screen. But in this case also, the Gmail application goes to on pause method because it is not removed from the memory yet. It is still in the background. And then you opened up any game, okay, and you came
Mm-hmm.
back. So it is still in the memory. All these three applications are running in the background. For all these three, on pause method is called. Now you want like game application is taking much memory space and it is lowering the speed of other applications to run, right? because we
Hmm.
have specific space in our Android device. They provide they divide the memory for each application separately. So if one, as you know, games takes the more space, so it is taking more space and it is lowering down the speed of the other applications. So in that case, now you want to remove this game. I'm not talking about uninstalling the game. I'm saying there, as in our Android phone, there are three
Yes.
options in the lower. Like one is back button, the arrow icon, right? And one is the center icon, that is home icon. By pressing the center button we can come to home screen, we can complete all the applications. And the first one is one square icon, small light comes up there when we tap over any screen. So by pressing that we can see all the free applications, those are running in the background. And there we will see one cross button option, cross icon option also. So if we press the cross icon, by this we can remove all these three background running applications together, or we can remove one by one also. Have you done this thing either in your device?
Yes, I.
Yes, yes. So I'm talking about that. In that case, when you perform that action, so at that time the on stop method and after that on destroy method is called automatically by the Android Studio program, as those statements are written by default so that it doesn't consume the extra memory space. So in that case, the activity is finished by default. And another method
Yeah.
I told you, forcefully we can kill by writing the code. Like if I click on any button, so it should finish the activity. So in that case, by on the button's click action, we can write this statement for forcefully killing the application.
Okay.
Clear now?
Yes.
Okay. So now, how many application lifecycle or what are the application lifecycle methods? So can you tell me how many methods are inbuilt methods are provided for the activity life cycle?
It was around 7.
Yeah. Uh, what is the first one? Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah, tell me.
Uh, I'm not sure, but it was like create,
Yeah,
start,
on create. Yes.
uh, then
On resume.
resume,
Yes.
stop,
Yeah.
and destroy.
Yes.
There was one more.
Before stop, there was on pause.
Yes, yes, on pause.
Yes. And after that, like if we want to from on pause to we want to start it again. So there is like on restart also and on resume again is called.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, you guys can take the screenshot also of this life cycle flow diagram. I can send you a link from here. Here you can again read and all the life cycle methods and what they perform, how they are called, life cycle callbacks, and briefly you can again read it and remember all these things, because the Android life cycle is the most important, like the basic thing that you must know before developing any sample application. Because where we have to write which statement, for that we need to know which method will be called first. So I should write this thing here. Or if I want to perform anything when the application is going back to home screen. So in that case, you must know where I have to write this statement. Like you want to play any audio whenever I press the home icon of my app. So in that case, which method will be called and where you should write this statement. Like there are methods on create, on start, on resume, on pause, on stop, on destroy, right? I am saying I want to play the audio when I am going back to home screen of my phone. Which method will be called?
Oncreate.
No, dear. On create is called when we launch an application.
It will start.
When it is, yeah, in the beginning, right? But I am saying application is launched. I am working in the application. Now, when I press the home icon, so at that time I'm going back to the my
It will
default
resume.
home screen of the Android phone, where all the application icons are visible, right?
Hmm.
So at that time I want to perform the audio. So at that time, which method is called? Remember, like on create is called when application is started. When we want to
Hmm.
start it, all the methods that we want to create, that is written in the on create. And after that, on start is called to launch the activity. And after that, on resume is called, and then our inbuilt methods, all that we have written. And when we come back to home screen, the back screen, at that time, on pause is called because the activity is not killed. So I was saying I want to play audio when I'm coming back to home of my phone. So
Hmm.
in that case, on pause is getting called. So I will write this statement for playing the audio under the on pause method. Okay. So that's why we need to know what is the importance of all these methods and where, when these are used, and when which statement we have to write where.
Yes.
Okay. For this, all we need to learn again, because I know in one session or the first session we can't remember all these things together. We need to revise it, right? So what we have learned today, the various mobile technologies available, right? The native apps are there, hybrid and cross-platform apps are there, and after that, like we are learning the native Android apps development. So what is Android? Under which operating system it is built? Which language is used? For Java is the language used for writing the code in Android Studio, and Android Studio itself is built and developed in Linux. And, and after that, we learned about the Android architecture, like the libraries, the frameworks Android provides us, the runtime environment it supports, how compiler runs, which compiler is available in Android Studio. And after that, like we learned about activity manager, notification manager, content provider, data information, and the most important, the application Android application lifecycle. Discuss many topics under this session. We will learn all these points again briefly under the next session. Before going to the another topic, you must need to remember and revise all the points that we learned today, because we can move forward only if we have the basic knowledge of these things. So you must need to revise all the points and writing down here.
Yes.
Yeah, can everybody remember what Android runtime provides us? Its tool is provided by Android Studio to run our application successfully.
Manpreet,
Yes.
your voice is breaking a bit.
Yeah. Is it audible now?
Yes. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
it's
So
breaking.
can anybody tell me, Android Studio, which tool or compiler or a machine Android Studio provides us to run our application successfully? Under the topic Android runtime, we discussed that, like for Java, there is Java Virtual Machine.
Yes, it is Delvic
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
virtual machine.
Delvic Virtual Machine. Uh, Under Java, like there we need to write separately. First, we need to write the code, compile, then dot class file, and then our class file is created, compiled class file, and then by that name we again write another statement to run it. Two statements are used for running this. But Delvic Virtual Machine provides us, like, we just need to run it by one code. It will perform the compilation and running together. So this is the difference between Java Virtual Machine and Delvic Virtual Machine. Then after that we Android Lifecycle. So these are the topics that I have written here. So you must need to revise all these topics before moving ahead. In the next session, we will learn how to build a sample application. What are the tools provided by Android Studio for creating the UI? As in Java, for creating the UI, that was very difficult. Basically, the UI was not very independent of Java. Android has provided us various tools and views for developing and creating our impressive UI, user interface, right? For that, inbuilt tools are available. We can drag and drop on the screen and design our layout, or by writing the code, we can also design the UI. We will learn all these in the next session. That's it for today. So before closing it, any questions regarding all these topics that I have mentioned?